Pennywise, whether he's offering balloons from storm drains or appearing in your favourite home movies. Pennywise, it, the augury, or the creature, however you know him, well, he's a tough fella to get away from. With a body count in the hundreds, if not thousands, he is not someone to be underestimated. But I know what you're thinking. If a group who refer to themselves as the Loser Club can beat him twice, how difficult could he really be? Well, today we're here to find that out, as well as why not being scared of the clown just isn't enough, and how you could survive being stalked by a murderous entity and take your chance of survival from just 0.01% to something, well, a little bit higher. Section 1, No Die Clown. Now, first and foremost, let's get this out of the way. All of my research will be citing the 2 films and TV show respectfully. We're not diving into the books and all of that information. So if you want to hear someone talk about cosmic space turtles, you can go harass the other host of this channel, Emily, as books are a lot more her thing, but hey, let's get into it. Now, in the series Welcome to Derry, we get our earliest look into Pennywise and his arrival to Earth as he arrives in an asteroid sort of thing that crashed into our planet before men ever roamed the land, which, does that mean, did Pennywise kill the dinosaurs? Look, ripping children's arms off is one thing, but killing a fucking stegosaurus? Not cool, clown. Not cool at all. From this information, we know precisely one thing about the monster. It is not human, and thus making it an alien. So, like it or not, we are officially entering the realm of sci-fi. Pennywise is a creature that seemingly has no age, being around for an assumed millions of years and basically confirmed thousands of years thanks to the oral history of the Native American tribe that exists in Derry, Maine. The asteroid that Pennywise arrived in appeared to be a prison, as he was only freed after it broke open upon entry. It's also thanks to the Shakopee tribe in Derry that we know that pieces of this asteroid could, at one time, be used as a weapon against Pennywise. However, thanks to Europeans, yuck, Pennywise was able to become more powerful after feeding on them, and thus the weapon became less effective. But the Shakopee tribe were able to harvest more of the asteroid and create pillars, keeping Pennywise in a specific area that would later be within a little town known as Derry. Pennywise is unable to pass these pillars, and seemingly is actively afraid of them, even if the Derry Kids meal deal is sitting right in front of him. His iconic clown look is actually stolen, and you know what? I could forgive the child murders, but plagiarism feels like a step too far for me. It's while the circus is in town, Pennywise, or well, it at this point I should say, sees the original Pennywise the clown, and seeing how enamored the children were with him, it decided to steal not only his look, but really his whole act, which feels especially scandalous. Now, Pennywise is a fairly simple creature and behaves like a less cool brown bear, simply eating and hibernating with a few more quirks thrown in. Pennywise will only feed once every 27 years, give or take. In the film and the show, it's mentioned by quite a few characters that it's exactly 27 years each time, while other depictions play a bit more fast and loose with the exact time frame. Speaking of which, when hunting its prey, it does so for just over a year or so, with body counts ranging from as little as 5 to the hundreds. It can be theorized that, much like a bear, Pennywise needs to feed during this time in order to sustain itself during its long periods of hibernation, where it's mostly dormant. There's also a theory that Pennywise doesn't really need to eat any food, and instead, being some kind of being beyond, man's comprehension, it is in fact the idea of him being a killer clown and the psychological toll that takes on the town itself that sustains him. So essentially, he's just eating kids to keep up appearances. Now, while Pennywise may or may not require actual human meat to sustain himself, it does appear that he has a preference when it comes to his food. For the unluckiest of Pennywise's victims, they are tormented repeatedly by the clown, making them incredibly fearful of everything around them and using their deepest fears as weapons against them. Pennywise does this as it essentially salts the meat, as it were, and makes his food taste better. This is one reason Pennywise tends to go after kids. When it comes to fear, children's fears are more tangible. Spiders, clowns, scary old men are all things that could be easily shown and provoked. Now bring adults into the equation, and sure, you'll have some fears that are more easy to show, but you also get some of the more abstract fears. Pennywise is going to have a really hard time shape-shifting into debt, or feeling like you haven't achieved as much as you should in life, or, having a YouTube channel that could be suddenly banned one day by an automated botting system. Normal kind of things. But it doesn't mean that you're safe just because you hit 18 rotations of this planet, because being an adult is just as risky. He can use his true form to stun you, turn you crazy, or straight up kill you without even having a second thought to process what just happened. Pennywise also has a whole host of powers he can use to mess with you all day long. One of the most common he uses is his ability to shapeshift and turn into various different creatures to torment you and your loved ones. This includes mimicking voices and being able to reference your own memories, showing off his psychic abilities that we'll get to a little bit later. Pennywise is also just happy to use his abilities for the long con. In the latest series, he is shown to be impersonating a kid for quite a while in order to lure the main children into the sewer, where he can easily feast on them. The man thing is a trickster and knows how to get under your skin. He can also just change the dimension he's in, appearing in films numerous times as well, stretching his limbs and just turning into otherworldly kind of fucked up creatures. He can also cause people to levitate en masse, control the weather from freezing lakes to rotting leaves, and causing a rolling fog to descend into the town, which is a slightly terrifying implication that Stephen King's Mist was just another result of Pennywise breaching his containment. He seems to possess some kind of passive psychic abilities, being able to sort of dampen everyone's attitude to when a child goes missing every gigasecond or so. That's 31.71 years, and also not really relevant. I just want a way to work that into the video. This passive dampening was also helped by a mind amnesia that affects anyone who leaves Derry, causing you to forget about the town, the people, and even the events that happen in the town, including any interactions you may have had with Pennywise itself. The latest skills and abilities to note is that, well, Pennywise is actually somewhat skilled at being a clown. I mean, he's a great dancer, obviously, but does plagiarize much of his act from his predecessor. He's a somewhat skilled trumpet player, and finally, if we take the intro from Welcome to Derry at face value, it appears that Pennywise is in fact firearms trained, and I don't know why, but for some reason this is the most terrifying implication to me, that Pennywise is just sort of done with my shit. Just pull out a Glock and just shoot me in the face. I don't know why, man, that just gets me. Section 2, why you wouldn't survive. Now, apart from the obvious fact that Pennywise himself is some otherworldly entity that does not behold itself to God's will, there are many more reasons why your time with the circus entertainer will most likely be short. The way I see it, you have 3 options when it comes to how you end up with any encounter with this bulb-headed clown. You'll either be killed, driven insane, or ignored. Now, let's look at each of these individually. Even if you were just not scared of Pennywise, this truly offers you no advantage. We see in the show Welcome to Derry that Leroy Hanlon, grandfather of Loser Club alumni Mike Hanlon, has a brain injury that does not allow him to feel fear. Even with this, however, Pennywise is able to carry out hallucinations that cause him to question his very own reality. Furthermore, when the children enter the sewer at around the same time, they use some swiped medication to dull their senses, and this also doesn't work, at least not on a direct confrontation. We also see the same goes for alcohol, so if your plan was to get shit-faced before you go one-on-one with the Twisted Clown, I've got bad news for you. Bob Gray, the original Pennywise, was fairly inebriated when he had his first and last encounter with the twisted creature, and well, I think it's safe to say it didn't really help him a ton. Hell, even if you just stumble into Pennywise post-murder spree, much like the local butcher and racist Stanley Kershaw, Pennywise will just kill you without giving you a second thought, which on the one hand makes him lucky, as he didn't have to go through, the emotional torture of having his greatest fears manifested, but also on the other hand, it kind of sucks for him as Pennywise didn't even give him a second thought, not even seeing him be worth the time, but hey, dude was a scumbag, so fair enough. The next option is being driven insane / put into a trance for, well, until Pennywise dies, I guess. We see numerous times in the series that looking at Pennywise's true form exposes the human mind to something it just cannot comprehend. There's also the bonus of it just driving you insane, as seen with Henry Bowers, who basically becomes a sleeper agent for Pennywise, or Ingrid Kirscher, Pennywise's stepdaughter, I guess. However, she was also a little off from the jump, so I don't know how much of that we can truly put on the old clown. And finally, just being ignored comes down to straight up luck, timing, and whatever Pennywise has going on, really. Pennywise is a busy clown, and with only a year to hunt, he's got to keep a lot of plates spinning regarding where he's going to get his next meal from. So if you just happen to be an inconvenient meal for Pennywise, chances are he'll just leave you alone. But to be honest, you, me, and every other poor soul who lives in Derry just doesn't really stand a chance when it comes to Pennywise, thanks to a reveal we had in the last episode of Welcome to Derry. During one of the final confrontations on the ice with Marge, Pennywise reveals that he knows the fucking future. Not only does he know Marge will have a child called Richie, Pennywise can produce a wanted flyer with his exact likeness on it. And then comes what I believe is the most shocking revelation. Pennywise reveals that he's aware that Richie and his friends will cause his death and or birth. Yeah, Pennywise goes on to explain that his entire experience of, time as we know it happens all at once, and that, taking him at his word, he's experiencing the past, present, and future concurrently, meaning that the only way you can survive Pennywise is if you are going to / already did. So basically you're going to need destiny on your side when it comes to this. Section 3, how to survive. Now, I know what you're thinking, how could I possibly survive this killer clown from outer space if my fate has already been sealed by fate and the possibility of me surviving or ending up with one arm being dragged into the sewer drain has been decided for me? Well, hold your horses there, partner, and there is a little bit more that goes into it than just good old destiny. First things first, get out of Derry. Hell, better yet, get out of Maine, god damn it. If it's not killer clowns, it's tentacle fog creatures, haunted cemeteries, or rabid dogs. I'm sure it's actually a wonderful place to live, but for the sake of surviving any horror encounters, leave immediately. Now, while I do say this in jest, there are quite a few times someone has been given the option to leave and does not take up the offer or has some form of external circumstances that stops them doing so. Apart from Pennywise though, as soon as he is given the option, he just beelines it for the exit and tries to get the hell out of there. But okay, maybe you have a loving family or a small child and can't simply throw a sack over your shoulder and cross some state lines, so what do? Well, if you want to become subservient to the clown, that is an option, as we saw with both Henry and Ingrid respectfully. That being said, you have a very real likelihood of going insane and just dying later, so this would be a strategy I'd sort of recommend against. Your final option is using fear as a weapon. Now, let me explain this a little bit deeper. Pennywise, for all intents and purposes, is an eldritch horror beyond human comprehension. The laws to our universe do not apply to this creature whatsoever. That being said, Pennywise functions as a non-physical entity and can't be destroyed unless you truly believe he can. It is my belief, and well, really it's shown in the films, that Pennywise can be injured and even killed if you truly believe you can, but believing you can harm Pennywise, that's really how you make him fear you. It just has to be complete and absolute belief that you yourself hold. We see this at the end of chapter 1, where the kids beat him senseless as they manage to convince him that he can't feed on their fear or attack them directly anymore. And he believes it because they believe it. This happens again in chapter 2, with them being able to convince him he's entirely powerless. Hell, I would go as far to say that the beacons the Native American tribes place around Derry to contain Pennywise only do so because they hold it as such a strong belief. I mean, we take it on the tribe's word that Pennywise arrived in a prison, but we don't know that for sure. It would be the same if I crashed into an alien planet in my 2005 Fiat Punto and the locals started using scraps of my car to attack me. I would probably develop a fear of my old car as well. Going off this, additionally, you can shoot Pennywise and it is somewhat effective, and I know this will make a lot of people happy considering how much I slagged off guns during the zombie video. But we see in Welcome to Derry that a gunshot, while not killing Pennywise, will slow him down, but becomes less effective over time. Once again, I theorize that this is a direct result of if you use a weapon against Pennywise and truly believe it will do him harm, it will do just that. Section 4, the conclusion. Right, so we got the facts, we know what not to do, and we know how to survive. Sort of. While you can use the knowledge you've gained from this video today to put up a fighting chance, you will still be facing a space demon in the form of a clown that can see through time and conjure/change reality to suit its bidding. So, with that being said, you can successfully take your chance of survival from just 0.01% to 1%. I'm sorry, I know it's disappointing, but when you're dealing with a being that holds this much power, your only chance of survival is being a main character in the plot, and even then, you don't have great odds. What other horror icons should I create a survival guide on next? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, if you enjoy this and want to support us making more of this kind of content, why don't you consider becoming a member, where we have so many goodies for you. Input on future videos, exclusive polls, and currently we offer a special promotion with Screen 13. This is a shop that sells horror-themed patches like these. Now, we don't get anything from your purchase with Screen 13. We do offer this discount. We really just want to support a small business run by a horror-loving couple like me and Emily. So, if you want the 15% off discount and some amazing patches, become a bloody good member and you can get the code, which expires at the end of this month, so go quick if you want it. And a special shout out to our members: Roan the Hero, Phantom Crow, MTST, Cardboard Boxo, Stephen Shabrockman, and Stephanie Morris. We say this all the time, but we truly do mean it. Thank you, as it is not only your financial support that truly does help, but having people willing to support small creators like ourselves truly goes a long way in keeping us motivated and, yeah, just believing we've got something here. And if you're still here, why not check out some of our other videos, like the previously mentioned video on how to survive the zombie apocalypse. Or if you're more of a Stephen King kind of person, we just put out a video on Carrie and its many adaptations and seeing which one's the most accurate to the book. In the meantime, I've been Montgomery. This has been bloody good. Thank you so much for watching.